What's the point of music? It's not always to have fun. It's not always to have fun. Sometimes it's to help people find themselves, because music is frequency programming. Music is frequency. What frequency are you being fed? At 15 years old, I was doing sound engineering. So I was playing with frequency. I was playing with equalizers. I figured out that hertz is to understand the frequency vibration, right? So there's hertz, kilohertz, megahertz, right? And then I think it's ultra hertz. If I play with those frequencies, right, I can target certain parts of the mind, target the frequency to go to certain parts of the mind, and I can literally, like, if I want you to astral project, right? If I want you to astral project, or if I want you to go to sleep, or if I want you to go into a meditative state, I can make my music. These little niggas out here don't give a fuck enough to go into that science, bro. These little niggas ain't studying kilohertz, megahertz, and doing all this shit. And the ones that do, okay, maybe your music not good enough to where it got to where, or maybe you not real enough. Maybe your goal's not good enough. Maybe you not you. Maybe you trying to sound like somebody else.
In this excerpt from XXXTentacion's long-form, in-depth discussion with DJ Academics on IG Live, we begin to get a sense of what it is that enabled XXXTentacion to have a sense of what made his music so affecting and so powerful and unique, and that's step number one, find your frequency. With the lion's share of the late artist's material released at an age that had been seen as prodigious, his comments indicate that he believed his music to serve a higher purpose than frivolous entertainment, and in essence saw it as a means of communing with the planet through sound. Naturally, you can't help but lead with intention when you approach music from this lens. Whether it was through his introspective, often soul-bearing lyricism accompanied by a melancholic sound palette or an uproariously energetic track, X was decisive in every decision he made as he understood the resonance that it could have. By doing so, it's not exactly surprising that a young troubled man with a violent past managed to capture the hearts and minds of a disenfranchised generation, many of whom felt just as lost as he once did. As by his own admission, X started doing music as a conduit for the whirlwind of emotions he was dealing with. From Everybody Dies in Their Nightmares and the beautiful eulogy of Jocelyn Flores to early breakout tracks such as Sippin' Tea in Your Hood and Look at Me, X's music was underpinned by a sadly too brief journey of self-discovery. And rather than being external to his music, his abstract vantage point and ruminations on the world were essential to the profundities found in his lyrics and what he wished to accomplish. As a result, one thing that we can learn from X's approach is that he didn't see any moment as idle and saw everything as an opportunity.
No matter whether you realize it or not, every day you evolve. Every day you create. You create in thought, you evolve in mind, you evolve as far as your age, you evolve physically, mentally. If you are evoluting physically and you are not evoluting mentally, you are not doing the right thing. So for you guys, I want you guys to constantly be trying to evolve. As far as creation, being creative in thought, living life like a dream, you know? You are the actor in your own movie. You get what I'm saying? And you are the person that you desire to be. No one can save you but you. You have to put the mind into what you want to put the mind into. If you believe in something, you can achieve it. Now, that doesn't mean everybody needs to be a rapper. That does not mean everybody needs to be a painter or an artist. That doesn't mean that way. Your art can be in your emotion. Your art can be in your mind. Now, you can be a doctor, and that can be a form of art. You can be a therapist, and that can be a form of art. It's how you articulate. You get it? Articulate. It's how you treat these things. It's the manner that you treat. You know what I'm saying? Even relationships and friendships can be a matter of art. It's a matter of mind. Now, purpose. Only you create your purpose. Now, trying to always impress others does not work. Make yourself happy. If something makes you happy, follow it.
Although he had a lot of demons he was still battling, X was courageous enough to use his own inner turmoil as the vessel to touch thousands, and as a result was heralded by audiences around the world even before he died. Consequently, one quick tip that we can extract from X is that when you have a cult fan base, the best approach from a business standpoint is to harness that. Considering that he built his career from the ground up by himself, it's understandable that X didn't wish to have the profits siphoned off or for anyone else to be able to lay ownership to his vision. Instead, he wanted to do everything on his terms and remained as independent as he could throughout his career as a way of both safeguarding his vision without outside interference and not allowing label bosses to profit off of what he and his fan base had built. If you yourself are an artist and would like to keep your creative freedom, one great way to do that is to learn how to start your own record label from scratch so that you own everything, which is taught in our best-selling 6-week From Amateur to Artist course, Rap Tycoon, which you can get by clicking the first link in the video description. But to depict where X's head was at, look no further than the comments from Empire's Ghazi Shami, the head of the independent distribution platform that the Florida rapper worked with for his landmark releases.
I think my first contact with him was Bob called me on three-way with him in prison. And we talked for a couple minutes, and he told me he had a couple other deals that he was looking at, so on and so forth. And he called me back with Bob on the phone. He said, "I'm gonna do your deal." And I said, "I don't understand. Why would you do our deal versus the other deal?" And mind you, the other deal was like a traditional multi-album deal, large advance. I think the advance was like 1.5 million, he told me. My offer was like 100K for like 2 singles. And I asked him, I said, "Why would you do my deal over the other deal? You're only like 18, bro. That's a lot of money." He said, "Because your deal makes me a partner and their deal makes me a slave."
Even when they sought to acquire his services, X steadfastly refused to give any major label a piece of the pie, as, just as we all should, he saw his work as being much more than a commodity, but a potential catalyst for change.
I have no intention of actually signing over as an artist to a label, but giving them rights to mixtapes and albums and certain things of that sort. But I'll still be the same exact artist that I was before. I mean, nobody can get in my head. Nobody can change me. I really want to f the industry inside out and put a hole in the industry for underground artists to make their way into the radio and get the more artistic things played instead of this bullshit they play on the radio.
Overblown as this may have seemed at the time, it's hard to dispute that he did just that. Instrumental in blurring the lines of genre and acting as a godfather to the supposed emo rap subset of hip-hop, X helped bridge the gaps between different sectors and fan bases that had previously grown standoffish towards one another. And rather than requiring concerted effort on his part, it was the fruits of a rich musical education that he parlayed into his own material in step number 2, become a musical melting pot.
I like to consider myself an artist. I do alternative rock, like a melancholy indie, all the way down to an old school boom bap rap, like a lyrical Lamar, Joey Badass rap, all the way down to a new age rap like Young Thug and Lil Uzi and all of them. I try and keep it as multi-genre as possible, or like switch up my style as much as possible. As of right now, I want to work with The Fray. I want to work with the Kings of Leon and probably Lord. I do multi-genre. I don't just rap. I don't do anything just to do it. Everything that I've created has a purpose, subliminal concept. Seeing how I can be the greatest artist there is. And that's my whole goal in the very end, to surpass every artist there ever was, to conceptually all of them.
Taken from a conversation he conducted with Genius from Behind Bars, this interview gave the world its first taste of X's ravenous appetite for sounds that would then manifest in his material. As opposed to sticking strictly to one sound, X's exploratory nature meant that he was always looking for something new and made him into a walking melting pot of music. During a chat with the Mars Files, X discussed the tangible impact that this would have in creating his signature approach.
I know you used to like spit just like straight bars, you know what I'm saying? Like, what was the switch?
Papa Roach 3's Grace, The Fray, they took a big toll on my mind, man. Cause like I was just listening to like all rap and I was like, yo, there's something else out here. Like this is far too cliche for me. This is just, they just repeat the same over and over again. So I went to rock to find like, to see if there's different material, and they're talking about heartbreak. I don't know, I fell into like some crazy rock, man. The only person that inspires me, the word inspire, the only person that inspires me is Kurt Cobain, because I feel like he went out with his mystique. Anybody that can die with their mystique definitely completed what they started, because he died a character. Nobody ever got to see the other side of him. Nobody ever got to see that human side of him. And I definitely want to like conquer that. I want to definitely become my persona altogether.
Willing to stray beyond the tightly monitored holding cell of influence that many artists subscribe to, X's eagerness to seek out new musical forms meant that he could add new dynamics to his output that his contemporaries simply weren't privy to. And rather than just being a scholar of the art form, one thing that we can all take from X is that his multifaceted sound came around from utilizing this very platform, YouTube, as a tool for discovery. Compounded by his youthful exuberance and unbridled energy, his grounding in music of all varieties meant that before long, X was taking bold, audacious leaps in new directions. And rather than be skittish about doing so, he did it with a ruthlessness that helped to make him into the fascinating artist that he was. And that's step number 3. Don't be a people pleaser.
Obviously, I pay very close attention to what you guys' complaints are. If you feel like I'm not dropping enough hard, then that means you haven't been paying attention, because I said that I was going to be dropping a different sound for quite some time. My voice is so I can't even scream the way I want to. So pretty much all I'm asking is be updated, pay attention, so that way when you guys complain, you know what's really going on. Just pay attention, obviously. Just pay attention. The whole music direction is going to change for quite some time. Obviously, I know you guys love the hard. That's what you guys fell in love with. But just appreciate and evolve with me as an artist, so you guys can really show me that you're proud of me as an artist.
Throughout his short-lived career and prematurely concluded life, X switched up his sound more than some established artists do over the course of 2 decades. Initially brought into the scene through volatile barrages of noise and howled vocals that edge closer to metal than conventional rap, X built his name from chaos. Then, within a year or so, he retreated from that sound in order to focus on cultivating a more intimate, contemplative approach that would open him up to a wider fan base. Where he could have stayed in that lane he initially opened for himself and remained successful, the likelihood is that doing so would have rendered him creatively unfulfilled. Thus, he courageously did what was best for his own creative blueprint, refusing to be pigeonholed as a one-dimensional artist who could only convey extreme emotions such as rage with no nuance. Here, we see another pivotal lesson to be extracted from X's brief journey in hip-hop, as by coupling this desire to stay creatively motivated and fluid with an open and honest dialogue with his fans, he was able to create a legacy that will outlive us all. Although his flame was tragically extinguished at a time when he was making real progress in both his life and career, XXXTentacion left plenty of gems behind in terms of how to approach both art and the day-to-day processes that are crucial to retaining your focus. So if these lessons can help to empower other artists with a similar mindset, it'll do more to further his legacy than any posthumous record or documentary ever could. Now I want to see you in the comments. What is the most unique track XXXTentacion has ever made in your eyes? And of course, if you're an artist watching this, be sure to visit the video description for that Start Your Own Record Label course. I've been your host, Drew Morrissey, the big homie Drew for How to Rap. I'm out.